Everyone, welcome to a special edition of Superhero Rewind Unscripted. We're doing this tonight in lieu of the Captain Logan show. You can think of this as like a Captain Logan show, except now with 100% more trailer watching and with a different opening. Usually we do the Captain Logan show on Wednesday nights. This is something Jason and I have been wanting to do forever, and it's a little bit of a slow news week, so we figured finally, 2 years it turns out, I don't know where the time went. After the last one of these, we're going to get to X-Men. So Jason and I, a good long time ago now, did trailer reactions for all of the theatrical Batman movies. And then we did it for Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to do it for the theatrical mainline X-Men movies.
Yeah.
And we're going to do this in probably two parts. So we're going to do just, I'm saying mainline, we're going to do just X-Men movies tonight. So movies with X-Men in the title for the most part. And then if there's time, we may move forward, but I doubt if there will be. We'll probably talk enough about these that won't happen. But there's enough movies to do a second part with everything related to X-Men.
Wow.
So we'll want to also do Deadpool and Wolverine, ending, of course, with Deadpool and Wolverine. And we might save New Mutants for that show. Or I've got that one pulled up. We can do that and tack that on at the end of tonight if we get that far.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to watch the trailers along with you guys, of course, and we'll try not to, we'll do some reacting. We'll try not to talk too much during the actual trailer. This will be sort of like a DJ show where, you play the song and then you talk about the song. We're going to do that do something kind of like that with the trailers. Jason, a lot of these, just like with Batman and Spider-Man, I've not looked at in forever. And I think of the three of these properties, Batman is the one I knew the advertising about the best.
Yeah. I don't know if I have seen any of these trailers. Like, I probably saw, some of the later ones, but I don't know if they're memorable enough for, I don't remember seeing any, so.
Like, young enough,
yeah.
Would you even remember them?
I even remember?
DJ's there in the audience. I very nearly invited him for this tonight. He says he's on a drive, so he probably wouldn't have been able to make it anyway. But I just decided the headache of people remote trying to watch the trailers with us might be kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Not doing our standard, everybody press play right now thing.
Right.
With commentaries. So, anyway, good to see you, DJ. Thanks for checking in with us. DJ and I have been talking about having him on a Captain Logan show soon. We haven't had him on the channel in forever, and I miss him. We want to do some kind of a list video after that. So we're talking about some things. We'll have DJ back again real soon, hopefully. But anyway, welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us live, and thanks for joining us after the fact if you're doing that. If you want to make your opinion heard, and you want to throw any topics related to this at us while we're talking about the trailers, as always, you can leave a super chat at any dollar amount, and that guarantees that we talk about your topic. We are going to do a top super chatter tonight, and the top super chatter is going to get to pick the franchise for the next one of these we do. And I'm gonna be a little choosy about it. I didn't write up an official list, but I'm basically gonna say if there are at least more than 3 movies in a franchise and it's genre and it's something I
So it doesn't
know.
even have to be superhero.
It doesn't have to be superhero.
But it needs to be something that he knows.
It has to be something that at least I have seen most of.
And if you are a Geek Evolution fan, you should be able to do that because you've made like 5,000 videos, 10,000 videos. So I think you should be able
and
to know.
I think the official number is like 5,900 right now. I think we're real close to 6.
Okay.
Which is misleading because, of course, some of those are clips and things.
And some of those are not you.
Are made by other people. Yeah, most of it's made.
Most of it is you, and so you should be able to know what his tastes are.
Anyway, but if you throw something at me, if you win top super chatter tonight, and so that's cumulative, just whoever donates the most this evening through super chat money, and thank you guys very much for supporting the channel in that way. Don't feel like you have to. Thanks just for being here, hanging out with us. If we get no super chats whatsoever, we're really glad to get to be here and hang out with you guys, and we'll have a good time regardless. But that's an incentive if you want to help us out, and no pressure ever with that. But anyway, if you win top super chatter and you suggest a franchise that I just don't know well enough or don't want to do, I reserve the right to ask you to pick something else. But it can be Star Trek. We've been wanting to do one for those. It could be Star Wars. It could be another superhero property. We haven't done this for other DC things yet. We could do one on DCEU in general. We could do one on Superman, but we'd possibly have to tack on other things with it. We could do BVS again because we did that with Batman.
We'd have to do BVS with DCEU and Superman.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway. So there are definitely other things. You can pick Jurassic Park. Like there are certainly a lot of franchises that you could go to. We want to do more of these. This has been in the back of my mind all this time, and I didn't realize it had been 2 years. I keep having that with things.
Yeah.
Where I don't know, Jason. I feel like I'm on a sliding scale, like DC or Marvel, where my year is not everybody else's year. And a year to me is like a couple of months. So sorry for the delays with things, guys, but I have kind of a crazy life with all the kids, and I'm doing the best I can. So tonight, X-Men, if you want to pick another topic for another trailer thing down the road, we'll do it in a month or two probably.
Yeah.
And we'll probably do it like this. When there's a slow news week, we'll just do it in place of a Captain Logan show.
Yeah.
Why not? So anyway, hope you guys enjoy this. We're going to start with the first teaser for the original X-Men in 2000. This, of course, post-dates Blade by just a couple of years. Blade kind of kicks off the first superhero renaissance, as it were. Feels kind of quaint now compared to what we got later, but it felt like the beginning of a what I always call the onslaught of the original onslaught of superhero movies.
Now, was Blade that big of a deal, though?
It did decently well, but it wasn't a big deal as far as superhero movies go because a lot of people, I don't think, knew it was based on anything. So it didn't like comic fans, I think, looked at it as a big deal that a character they never would have expected to get a movie got a movie.
Yeah.
And it was Marvel's, weirdly, we just talked about this with the Weird Developments two-parter Austin and I did. Weird that was the first major Marvel blockbuster movie after Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
And
like, stop picking random people to do movies with. Like, what are you doing?
So even if the larger culture didn't realize it, it set a lot of precedents.
I see.
It is really important for the history of the whole thing, especially because of how moody and comic book looking that movie is. So like you got to have that. And then X-Men in an interesting way is kind of, I don't want to say the antithesis to that, but it's going in a different direction because it is more concerned with realism than Blade is. Kind of. Even though they're both looking at that like black leather aesthetic, Blade wants to look like a comic book and X-Men wants to feel more like a real world, at least if you're Bryan Singer. And relatively, of course, it's still very heightened. It's very Hollywood. But compared to the X-Men cartoon, which is the whole reason that movie gets made, and the Fox thinks that it might sell, and it worked. It does not look as like heightened and comic booky.
Yes, but it is very Hollywood, not very comic booky.
Exactly.
Basically.
And those are different.
Because didn't they not want people to read comic books on
Not as
set?
much these days.
Wasn't that a thing?
That was a thing. Yeah. And I doubt that very, very good. I didn't know you knew that. That was probably not a rule on the set of Blade.
Yeah.
But I also doubt if anybody was reading comics on the set of Blade.
Right.
Because the required reading for Blade is the Blade movies.
You can't read movies. What are you talking about?
At this point, anyway. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first of these. We're going to watch the original teasers for X-Men and X2, and then after that, it'll mostly just be full trailers. If we get to New Mutants, we'll look at the teaser for that too. That's notable because there were 3 years in between the trailers with that movie. Yeah, because it was put on a shelf for so long.
Oh my gosh.
All those teenage or close to teenage actors were so old by the time they wanted to do reshoots, they couldn't reshoot with them.
Oh my gosh.
But we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and get into it. So here is... Yeah, there we go. Here is the teaser, and let's take a look, shall we? The year 2000.
Wow, look down there.
Y2K, here we go.
Look down there, huh?
Hold on to something.
I remember this song. No sound effects.
Yeah.
Just images. And this is not indicative of the flavor of this movie, really.
No,
This
it's
font.
not. Evolution.
It's true.
What you think?
Oh no, not xmenthemovie.com.
So that's kind of a rough one, yeah?
Yeah, what is that music choice?
That was I remember that being a relatively popular kind of techno song. I had that on a playlist back then for some reason.
Did you really?
And I don't think it was because of that movie. I don't think... So, that was a weird experience for me, Jason, because I used that music in an action figure movie I made for a high school class.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's really funny.
And it was actually about superheroes. It was a superhero action figures.
Yeah.
And it was called Who Watches the Watchers? The Watchers Watcher.
Oh my gosh.
And it was this goofy stop motion action figure movie that me and a friend of mine made. And anyway, I'm being indulgent telling the story, but that was in there, and I don't even remember how I found it or why, but it's so weird that I never associated it with this material.
Okay, so you didn't find it because of this.
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh.
I think it might have been on the Matrix soundtrack.
Oh.
Possibly, but that would have been just after that.
Right. Yeah, so that was interesting. That was, I mean, I think it was stylistic, but, and I think it, honestly, I think 2000s, the first X-Men could have, done something similar to The Matrix, and done a lot more of that kind of music. Obviously, it would have probably dated it. But, yeah.
That movie has more of a somber tone than that.
Yeah, I feel like this, it's definitely stylistic, and it might have been able to fit that movie. Like, it's not stylistic in the way that movie is, but it could have fit like that.
Yeah, so a lot of teasers, there's kind of two general styles for teasers. One is give you, kind of like James Gunn's Superman teaser does, give you a piece of a scene and let you figure, feel the tone of it and live in it for a minute, and then give you real quick glimpses of some of the major stuff you're wanting to see at the end, particularly when it's an IP like this, something people are already familiar with. Yeah. So Superman is going, we got to give you a glimpse of Lex Luthor. We got to give you a glimpse of the Daily Planet, right? But the start of that is here's Superman in Krypto, and we're letting you know that Superman's going to be allowed to get hurt and feel pain in this movie.
Yeah.
And you live in it for a second. You see this. You see a little bit of the turmoil, the stakes, right?
There's none of that in this.
And then the other way to do it is just quick cut, high octane, pump you up with action, and also images of iconic and, again, with big IPs, nostalgic imagery. And this is definitely on that end of it. And it's kind of crazy how much of the movie they show you in that 50-something seconds.
Yeah, it's a lot of...
There's stuff in the climax. Like, MCU likes to keep as much in the first act as possible. Just the antithesis, typically. This is antithesis to everything Sony has ever done.
Yes.
Where Sony will give you the but their teaser trailer will be 3 minutes long, and then they'll give you a 7-minute long first trailer, and then it'll give you the last image of the movie.
Yeah,
this,
and then what's even the point of watching the movie?
Yeah, this gives you, in just 50-something seconds, a weird amount of third act.
Yeah.
And I would argue that some people might have seen that and gone into the movie and could be disappointed with how slow it is.
Sure.
This is one of those things where or I should say the strategy here, trailers often are about, is, as we always say, try to get you to go to the theater, not necessarily show you what you're in for.
Sure.
And if you took this too much at face value, you'd go, that looks more exciting than it actually is.
Also, people... I think it's fine with this, in particular, to have stuff from the third act, because you can't tell what anything's from.
You don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
But it makes it feel,
because there's so many quick cuts, and also if you haven't seen the movie, you wouldn't be able to tell.
But don't you think it feels more like a big action movie than it is?
Yeah, it makes me want a Matrix style X-Men movie.
Now that's a credit to that movie. I've always said, I don't mean just review that movie again. It is too setup-y. The real story, it doesn't really feel like we really get into things until X2, with the exception of some of the Wolverine and Rogue stuff. And I've always appreciated how kind of intimate and taking its time it is with that.
Yeah.
You don't get any sense of that. So let's see if with the full trailer we have more of a sense of tone and atmosphere.
Yeah.
Of mood.
What if this trailer is just all the setup?
Once again, what if you get no third act? If you're just now joining us, we're watching mainline X-Men trailers tonight, and if you would like to pick the next topic, the next IP that we do this with, where we watch a bunch of trailers with you, you can leave a super chat or multiple super chats and try to win top super chat of tonight. Here we go.
Oh, it's the same.
That watery logo again, which I don't think is in the movie.
No, I don't.
Human evolution.
The truth is that mutants are very...
We don't have pre-written captions there.
We must know who they are.
This thing again.
Above all, what they can do.
They're really doubling down on this fight. It looks like Stargate or something.
Yeah.
Stop it with that sound effect.
What kind of place is this?
Let us know if you can hear us okay, guys. And if you can hear the trailers okay.
I built this school where mutants could learn to focus their powers in a positive way, and also learn that mankind was not evil, just uninformed.
That's not the movie.
No, it's not.
A very powerful mutant who believes that a war is brewing between mutants and the rest of humanity.
Speaking of dating things,
be sure you're on the right side.
These are the ones you can trust, Jason.
Yeah. Remember these names.
There were a couple images there that I don't think are in the movie. These are the ones you can't trust.
Yeah.
Jason. Now that was the big slogan that it ran with. It doubled down on that.
Why couldn't they have this font for the rest of the
I've
trailer?
never seen anything like this before.
Why did they need the?
We are the future, Charles, not them.
I'm with you.
They no longer matter.
That is a movie. Although, that's a different line reading than is at the end of the movie. It says they no longer matter. This is stock music,
Yeah.
or possibly music from some other movie, because that happens. This isn't what this movie sounds like at all.
No, it's not.
Now it sounds like a Joel Schumacher movie.
Don't give up on them. Mankind has evolved. Not anymore.
Okay.
Okay.
That was some odd editing. Mankind has evolved, not anymore. Like I mean I guess that kind of makes sense with the movie, because his plan is to turn all the humans into mutants.
Right.
But I mean I guess.
Yeah.
But that exchange doesn't make a lot of sense,
No,
because when he says not anymore, that's not what he's responding to in the actual movie.
No.
But anyway. Well, Jason, I mean the question is always, would the trailer make you want to go see the movie?
Yeah.
If you're an X-Men fan,
Honestly,
it does,
yeah.
because all you really want to know is what characters are in it.
Yeah.
And just on a superficial level, gives you all the heroes, gives you all the Brotherhood characters. If you're a big fan of that cartoon show, you'll be happy that it's not just Magneto.
Yep.
And that he's got a whole team of evil mutants.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it kind of feels like the advertising is making it want to look more comic booky than Singer did.
Yeah.
Like, I think Singer is a little at odds with what Fox wants us to think about it.
Yeah.
They've got a big track record of that. When you go to, like, you know, going all the way up to like Josh Trank and Fan Forstic and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Victor Herman, this makes sense in the context of all those character posters they did for this movie. Yeah, they had a synergy with their print advertising and the trailer advertising.
Yeah. I mean, it's very 2000s.
Yep.
Even if it is just 2000, I feel like it's... You know, it's funny. Like, something can be very late 90s and something can be very early 2000s, or something can be very 2000. Like, something can be very Y2K.
Isn't it fascinating how that works?
Yeah.
How there are things from 1979 that feel more 70s than things from 1980.
Yeah.
Like, you're right. This definitely does happen. And I feel like if this had come out even 2 years earlier, like, or like 3 years earlier, like, if they're advertising this when Spawn comes out, the advertising is going to look slightly different.
Yeah.
You're right. It doesn't feel like 90s advertising. It feels like 2000s advertising.
Yeah.
Except some of the score, because they're just either ripping stuff out of some other movie or going to stock music.
Yeah,
that's got to be 90s stuff.
That's very interesting.
That sting at the end just sounded like Batman Forever.
I didn't know about that.
Did you also notice the occasional like freeze frame?
Yeah.
They did that with Senator Kelly.
Yeah.
That felt like trying to make you think there was an edge to it.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going to have creepy things like a man turning into a puddle. Freeze frame.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really understand why there was, like, different fonts for different things. Like, I don't know why we couldn't have just had that cooler thing.
Yeah.
And you can tell that the people who made the teaser trailer put together this trailer.
Yes, you can. I expected them to be a far cry from each other.
Yeah, but it feels like a sequel to that teaser.
Yeah, I think there are other trailers. We're just going to watch the first of these. I think there are other trailers that are more indicative of the tone of the movie, because I remember the main one I remember seeing, and I thought that's what this was going to be. The main one I remember seeing it opens with Wolverine in the wrestling match and meeting Rogue. Mm-hmm. And we didn't get that here.
Yeah. Interesting.
But I'm glad we watched this one just because I don't think I've seen it, or I didn't remember it anyway.
Yeah.
And it was related to that teaser.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, are you ready to move on?
Sure.
All right.
The best X-Men movie.
Let's take a look at the initial teaser for I agree, for the best X-Men movie. There are contenders, certainly. If you're more of a First Class person, by all means. But I love X2.
I don't know. I've seen X2 the most. Is what I'll say.
Oh, real quick, the other thing I wanted to say about that last one is it's so in your face that it feels like the strategy is intentionally overwhelm the senses.
Yeah.
And that's different. Notably, that's different from, and I know it's been 2 years, but from the other exercises we've done like this, because we've only looked at trailers from singular character franchises. And so now we get into how do you sell a movie with a big ensemble cast.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah.
So I'm glad I got that out before we get to the next one, because I think that's going to really inform this whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, 2003, X2, my favorite X-Men movie. And we have just a 35-second teaser trailer. I was curious to look at this because I don't remember what this was, if I've seen it. And then we'll look at the full one.
Is it going to be 2000s like the other one, or is it going to be more dramatic, or is it going to...
And I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, I'm pretty sure the full trailer will end with the cat licking the Wolverine claws.
Okay.
I think I'm right about
so
that.
more comedic then, or...
Right at the end, yeah.
Okay.
Here we go. That's cool.
They love their interesting 20th century foxes.
Yes, but that one goes with this material a little bit better because of the cerebral. Last time on X-Men!
This time, it's going to be a battle for survival.
They don't have any footage yet.
Next summer, the evolution continues.
They're still on with this evolution thing. And then that is the logo that they went with. I've never seen that. Or if I have, I didn't remember it. Hey, the last couple times we did this, we ranked these.
Oh, yeah, we did.
And I don't know if you want to be doing that.
I forgot that we did that.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
I don't know.
It is a little bit weird to do it with the teasers.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we did it with the teasers.
Did we just do it with the main
just did it
trailers?
with the trailers. Like the teasers and the trailers together.
Okay. Well, do you want to get started with it?
Sure.
Because right now we just have one.
We have X-Men, yep.
If all we're doing is ranking the main trailers.
Yeah,
is
the
that
main
what we're doing?
trailers in conjunction with the teasers. Like, if we have teasers, then we put them together. We're like, how the marketing overall on the movie.
Yeah. Now, to
today.
be fair, if we were going to be really serious about it, we'd want to watch at least 2 trailers each.
Yeah.
Because you get into a lot of movies where you start with one tone and then you try to show another side of the movie, maybe to bring in another crowd, or maybe to pivot and go, oh wait, maybe people thought it was too silly. Let's make them realize what it really is. So, like, for instance, I got more intrigued with Deadpool and Wolverine when they put out a trailer that showed us the serious side of that movie. And I went, oh, there might actually be a little more pathos to this than I was expecting. Yeah. And then ultimately that was the trailer that I felt most showed me what that really was going to be like.
Yeah. Chemical says, voice trailer guy is my favorite X-Man.
Yeah. Big props to voice trailer guy.
Yeah.
I'll read that super chat in just a minute. Thanks a lot, Captain Kuhn. Let me just pull up a document here.
Dad, you got a Captain Rival.
I know. I'm feeling. Hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to write things down.
Did you know that the main voice trailer guy, like the guy that you mostly hear with voice trailers, he's actually blind.
No, is that true?
Yeah, Pete Gustin is blind.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
fascinating.
And one of his big hobbies is surfing.
What?
Blind.
Wow. Well, that guy sounds fascinating.
Yeah, he's very fascinating.
He's fascinating.
He's fascinating. That's what I said. I was like fascinating.
Well, the best and worst of these we've seen so far is X-Men.
X-Men, yep. I will say it's probably more on the better side. But I don't know.
But again, if we were talking about overall marketing, again, we'd want to look at multiple trailers.
Right.
So the exercise of ranking them is kind of silly, but we did it last time, so
well, we'll do it with the one trailers that we've
but...
seen from each. Unless we put a teaser with them, which you said we only did with like 3 of them. So
yeah, we only did that with a couple of them. Okay. Let me read the super chat. These couple super chats real quick, and then we'll continue. And again, if folks are just getting in, top super chatter tonight gets to pick the next franchise that we do this with. It's got to be multiple movies. It's got to be genre. Captain Kuhn. Yeah, I'm really intimidated by all the other captains, Jason. They threaten me, and I need them to drop their rank by like 1 or 2. Okay? So you can be Commander Kuhn. That's okay. Anyway, $5 Canadian. Cap, did you guys ever do a watch for the Nolan Batman trailers and the TV spot with Nickelback in it?
We did do that.
We did, and I think
if I'm remembering correctly.
I think somebody requested we look at that Nickelback trailer, so we did.
Yes.
And by the way, if there's anything anybody thinks of, any specific trailers with X-Men that you want us to do that don't come up, feel free to ask for them. We just put up the main ones, or the first of each of them.
Is what you said, yes.
And I don't know if there are any like weird oddball ones or crazy TV spots or anything people will think of, like that one. But if you think of one, let us know, and we'll try to take a look at it if we've got time. Voice trailer guy, that is great. He's got to be my favorite X-Men at this point. Robert, $2 super chat. The first Days of Future Past teaser was so exciting. I know it was. It hit me in the feels, as they say. And now it's time for X to the main trailer. Here we go, Jason.
Now we've got the X-Men United.
X-Men United.
Yes.
Which they stuck with, but nobody refers to it as.
No.
And it was...
X2 is easier to say.
I think you... Yeah, because, like, it's X2, X-Men United. Mm-hmm. It's almost like there were... It's almost like there was a meeting of executives, and they had to compromise because some of them wanted it to be called X2, and some of them wanted it to be called X-Men United. So, and the X-Men United people said, well, you can't just say X2... because you got to hear X-Men or people are going to be confused as to what it is.
Yeah. So the 2 X-Men, they united.
Both of them.
Yeah, both of them.
Both of them.
X2. Yeah.
Well, you could say it's the thing from that first trailer, right? Where the ones you can trust, the ones you can't, now they're united. So it's not 2 X-Men, it's 2 factions.
I'm trying to remember, is that
kind of happens.
The point of the movie?
Well... Not by the end. They have an uneasy alliance until Magneto decides to put on Cerebro and flip the script and try to kill all the humans.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go ahead and look at this trailer. This should be the one I'm most familiar with. Unless it's like the first movie where there's a weird first one I don't know about. Here we go.
You have to understand, we thought Bobby was going to a school for the gifted.
Bobby is gifted. You should see what he can do. Have you tried?
From here on, we're going to have more normal trailers, I think, Jason. Have you tried not being a mutant?
Since the discovery of their
They did that same
mutants have
Fox
been
logo.
regarded with fear, suspicion, often hatred.
Strikers!
And put your hands in the air.
I can't.
Are they the next link in the evolutionary chain? Or simply a new species of humanity fighting for their share of the world?
What do you need, William?
Look at all the new extra characters, Jason.
Special operation.
Yeah. This makes me want to watch this movie.
Right?
In upstate New York.
This facility is a school.
Sure it is. Nobody really knows how many even exist. Or how to find them. Except you.
I've rarely been as excited for a movie as I was for this.
Yeah.
And then it was a bigger deal because it was great. I was wondering if they were going to do all the character names again. I couldn't remember. Are they going to show us Nightcrawler? Like, as a name? Because they showed us
I need you to read my mind.
Sometimes
Colossus, but he won't get a name.
They
say you're the bad guy.
Is that what? Yes. I don't remember these names. I don't remember these names. Nightcrawler!
Anything beyond what they see.
I have faith in you.
The next time you feel like showing off,
Don't.
I used to think you were one of a kind, Wolverine.
Well, if they put Deathstrike in there, they should put Colossus in there because he actually gets dialogue.
Yeah.
Not much, but
More than Deathstrike.
boy, they're showing a lot of this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the tornadoes.
Yeah.
The difference between this and the first trailer, Jason, is the first X-Men teaser. That says, look how exciting this movie is, and then you go and it's not, and this will live up to this. Here it goes! That's so good. You gotta love the licking sound.
Yeah, that goes on through the
Yeah, it's great.
So, I have a good thing, I have a best thing and a worst thing for that.
of a demon.
Sorry.
I have best thing and worst
We
thing
wound up
for
in a
that.
Looper video. My apologies.
So I think the best thing about that trailer was that it really showed you the mutants' powers.
Yeah.
Which is something that I didn't really see with the ones that we've watched so far.
That's an excellent point.
I think that's what you sell it on, is their powers. Like, more than anything. I didn't like all the transitions. I thought that all the fades to black were really irritating to me, but it's just a personal thing.
Is that kind of cumbersome?
Yeah, it was just like, stop going like this.
Yeah, or jarring.
Yeah, it's just like...
That's
a
2000s thing.
It's the same thing over and over again. It just keeps fading to black, and I'm like, okay, yeah.
That's always to, like, not show you too much and kind of entice your imagination and to make it feel like you're seeing more than they're actually willing to show you.
Sure.
But I'm with you. It's maybe excessive.
Yeah.
With that. That didn't bug me as much, but, you know, I'm so used to that I guess I don't think about it as much as I ought to. I think that's a really solid trailer.
Yeah, that is at the top right now.
I think it of the two, that's the best. Yeah. I think it does the same thing the first full trailer does with the first X-Men movie much more effectively, where it is still kind of exciting all the senses and throwing a lot out at you and overwhelming you. But it's a lot more focused.
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
So it feels less overwhelming and more just... There's a lot in this movie. This is a full movie. You have so many characters and so many ideas that you can't help but put a million images in your trailer. As opposed to the first movie where it kind of looks like they're trying to make it feel like that. And I'm saying this in hindsight, knowing what those movies look like. But, I mean, X2, and I say this, I mean this in a good way, is pretty stuffed.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and they show you so much. And it shows you that it's stuffed, I feel like.
Yeah. But I don't feel like they're showing you so much that you go, I've seen the whole movie. It's more just, and the White House, and tornadoes, and, like, what is this movie? There's so much happening.
Yeah.
So I think it's more successful at that, but I think it's also more successful at that because it can deliver in a way the first movie can't.
Yeah.
And again, saying this in hindsight, like they're gonna make it feel the first movie feels so spectacular, and then you go see it and it's not quite that.
Yeah.
This movie will live up to that.
Yeah, Alex Barron says things actually happen in this movie.
Exactly. But the contrast that's interesting is the first trailer says, here's the mutants you can trust and here's the ones you can't. The second trailer says X-Men United, and then it mixes all the names together. Mm-hmm. Or does it put all the bad guys at the end, but it just doesn't do the blue and red like
No.
CCG card
No,
color
'cause
thing, or
it
they all
did
mixed.
Magneto and then it did Nightcrawler or something. So.
Was that after Magneto?
That was after
See,
Magneto
that's
and
kind
Pyro and yeah.
That's kind of neat. Now, you wouldn't notice it unless you were doing this exercise, but I think that's kind of neat.
Right. Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. I think that's a really effective trailer if you liked the first movie at all, and if you're a giant X-Men fan in the first place, and maybe the first movie wasn't what you were hoping it was. You've got another shot with this one. And I think it kind of knows what some of the diehard fans are going to be excited to get to see.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, because they give you a little glimpse of Nightcrawler, and then you get to toward the end, and there he is. You throw his name up there, and a little glimpse of Colossus, where they're going. There are fans that will know who that is, so we'll tease him in the trailer.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I think that was a good trailer.
I just want to stay here for a while, but we're going to have to move on to the crappy ones.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Unfortunately. And this is...
So we have like 2, and then we get back to good ones again. So.
Yeah.
And then we go to crap.
So we're just going to look at the X3 trailer. I didn't see a teaser for this. I don't know if they had a little teaser for X-Men 3. But this whole thing... One of the reasons that X-Men 3 is so disappointing for me, and I can't say I like it more now than I used to, but I'm less angry with it, mostly because Patrick Stewart finally got his due later, and now all we do is bring him in and kill him. That's Professor X's whole thing. If you're Patrick Stewart now, is he's in a movie and then he's dead. We now have a trilogy of dead Patrick Stewarts, of dead Professor X's.
Yeah,
and it's hilarious. This is the timeline
you're in. Like, literally just Professor X.
Yep, this is but they're all Patrick Stewart.
Yes. Yeah.
That has not happened with. McAvoy has been in almost as many as Patrick Stewart has. I think. A couple fewer, because Patrick Stewart's got a lot of cameos. Like, he's even got a cameo in Origins. So.
Yeah.
But he hasn't died in any of them, McAvoy.
Right.
But anyway, what I was going to say is, I think the reason that, one of, if not the reason that this was so disappointing for me is because I thought it looked decent with the trailer. I didn't go into this worried. I also wasn't paying as much attention to development as I do now, and so I didn't even know that it was a different director. I didn't go into this knowing about Ratner.
Yeah.
And so it was massive whiplash. Because I don't remember the trailer giving you any sense that anything was amiss, that anything that it was going to feel like such a different thing.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And we'll see if that holds.
Yeah.
Or if in retrospect we go, nah, we should have known.
This is almost 20 years old.
That's nuts. But yeah, because I do have this with Origins, where I look back, and I think I'll do this when we look back at the trailer tonight, where I feel like I should have known that.
Yeah.
Because Origins has X-Men in the title, and because people were asking us about Origins earlier, we are going to go ahead and watch that tonight.
Okay.
I was going to save it because it's a Wolverine movie, and we're going to do Wolverine and Deadpool as their own thing. Maybe we'll be silly and just pick a different trailer for it to open the next one. We could do that.
Sure.
But it does have X-Men in the title, and like I said, folks were asking about it, so
yeah.
So we will talk about it. It's demographic whiplash. Okay, great. I mean, if you count character assassination, then yeah, McAvoy's Professor X has died.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, all of them.
I can't disagree. All right, are you ready, Jason?
Yes.
Well, now we have to mourn the initial end of Bryan Singer's X-Men.
Hey, I like this movie, so let's do it.
Do you really?
I watched it once and enjoyed it, so maybe on a second watch I'd not like it, but I liked it.
Are you ready for our back-to-back X3 and Dark Phoenix watch party, Jason?
Sure, why not?
Let's do it. All right. I'm kidding.
I mean, sure.
Am I kidding?
It'd be better than...
Maybe someday we'll do that.
It'd be better than Apocalypse and then Dark Phoenix, I feel like.
Yeah, you might as well stab me in the neck right now. All right, here we go.
On principle, I can't negotiate with
Hey,
you.
we saw a big fight there last
Then
time.
you know what needs to be done.
Why did we just see the president move in slow motion?
That shot
Make
is.
no mistake, my brothers.
Look how sad and somber this is.
Humans will draw first blood.
That's why the pawns go first.
And the air is still.
And he's gonna die?
And the night has fallen. There's only one question you must answer. Who will you stab?
Cool guys don't look at explosions. I don't even know where that is in the movie.
Whoa!
That was a neat Marvel logo.
That was-
Mutant X gene permanently.
What's with the slow motion?
Cure.
It's really
There's nothing
silly.
to cure. Nothing's wrong with any of us for that matter.
You of all people know how fast the weather can change.
They just cut 2 lines together to make that. That was
You find
weird.
what you were
That
looking
line is so
The source of the
stupid.
cure is a mutant. More powerful than you.
Gene.
Jim!
But she
Dude.
has to be controlled. You know, sometimes when you cage the beast, I can't do this. The beast gets angry.
Oh, well, that was weird because Beast is in this movie, but we just keep cutting to Angel while he says that.
Idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
No
Yeah.
idea what is upon us now.
Fury
What's with the voice modulation there?
never witnessed.
Did you hear the filter?
Yeah.
Magneto's got an army out there. You got a war, you might not come home. She might not come home. You ready for that?
I don't think that's in the movie, is it?
Not your father. If you want to go, be sure it's what you want.
It's time we make our choice. If you're with us, then be with us.
They wish to cure us.
We are the cure!
I say we are the cure.
That's that kid from Lost, you remember
We
that?
can help you. We can fix it.
Yeah.
We can make it like it was. Stay with me, please.
That's not the trailer I remember. That's another one where I must have seen the second trailer more often.
Okay, so that's a movie where you cannot show too much of that movie because it just ruins it.
So you think they did that? You think they showed too much?
I think they showed too much because it's just like, if you show like maybe half of that, then that is yeah. If you show like half of that, it's like maybe serious. But they showed so much of it that it's like I can't take that seriously.
Somebody said, yeah, one reply, the trailer makes it look like the most important movie ever made. And yet so cheesy.
Yeah, it's so cheesy.
Like, I don't know that the movie itself looks cheesy, but the way the trailer is cut looks really cheeseball.
Yeah.
Like, X2 feels like it's got a little bit of an edge to it.
Yeah.
And just trailer-wise.
Right.
And I mean, I would also say this about the movies, but just the way they're advertised. But this, it feels like they're kind of trying too hard. Mm-hmm. Like, they're kind of protesting too much. And this is the big thing that I remember from this advertising that surprised me when I went to the movie. It's trying to make you think it's an epic war movie.
Yeah.
And it's not. And the third act kind of tries to go to that place a little bit, but I mean, it's one big battle. It's just Magneto moves the bridge, and Dark Phoenix is there, and all the mutants fight each other for a while.
Yeah.
And then the pawns go first, and that's the movie. But everything leading up to it is not epic in that way.
Yeah.
And they're also trying to make it feel like the big epic conclusion to a trilogy, and maybe you'll never get any more.
Right.
Like, this is it, kids. Now, they don't come out and say that. They're not like, you know, the epic conclusion or something. But the attitude is that.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, it definitely comes off as like that. I don't know if they were thinking that, but it comes off as that.
Chemical trying to build hype. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
But I don't think based on that, I necessarily should have expected, again, something is amiss.
Yeah, I mean, from that, I'll still watch that movie. From watching that trailer, probably. Like, if I liked those first two movies.
But what I mean is there anything that you're looking at there that would give you cause for concern, like alarm, where you go, oh no, another director is taking over and he's going in a completely wrong direction?
I think they gave us too much of the script, and that script just sucks.
Well, see,
a lot of those lines are just not good.
Just like with the first two trailers, they're showing a lot of images, and there's definitely more story stuff in that trailer.
Yeah.
But I don't think you have much of a sense of just how much they've royally screwed up Jean Grey.
No. Like the Jean Grey stuff.
There's hints about it,
Uh-huh.
but I don't think, not having seen the movie yet, most of us would necessarily pick up on how weird it's gonna be. Like you do have a little bit of a sense from stuff Xavier's saying about like having to suppress Jean Grey or stop her in some way or something. But I don't think we know for sure, just looking at that the Phoenix Force is not anything like what it is in the comics. And that it's gonna be just a multiple personality thing. I don't think you can quite tell multiple personality yet, can you?
No, I couldn't tell that. But we were saying cheeseball. I think that's with the lines they chose too.
Yeah,
like they chose the cheesiest lines from that movie. I mean, some of them.
Well, one of the things that makes it feel like such a war epic is all the talk about picking sides.
Yeah.
The with us or against us stuff, and the we don't need to be cured, we are the cure, all that stuff. And like that's in the movie and it's about that, but it's not in the same context it feels like it should be in the movie. Where that movie or that trailer, and again, this is what I remembered about it from the time, even the trailers after it. It feels like the whole movie should be one big battle.
Yeah. That's what it should have been.
And it's not.
So that trailer is at the bottom, but it's still not probably the worst. I feel like that's how that works.
Yeah. I guess I'm going to put it under
X1.
The first X-Men trailer, just because I think it does.
X1. That's not what I meant to say.
Like, that first trailer is cheesy.
Yes.
To some degree, but it's more fun, and this trailer is cheesy and also has this air of self-importance about it.
Mm-hmm.
And X2 really split the middle.
Yeah, and did it well.
Captain Coon put in another $5 Canadian super chat. He is winning so far our top super chatter goal tonight. He says, X3 is burned into my brain as it's the X-Men movie I've seen the most. Wow. Since I had it in my parents' van that had a DVD player built into it. If X3 was the only thing I had in a van as a kid, how much would I watch it?
20,000 times.
I guess it depends on if I have seen the other ones, because I might sometimes just go, you know what? I don't guess I got to watch anything. Well, I think my feelings would be hurt watching Professor X get killed over and over again.
Yeah.
It was a long time before I could begin to forgive that for killing him in the first act.
Yeah.
Or that's how I remember it. Isn't it like the first act plot point?
I don't remember.
It's pretty darn early. I mean, maybe you could call it the second act plot. Maybe it's like Cyclops' death is the first act plot point. Professor X is the second, but I think it's even kind of earlier than that. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to Origins now, shall we? I remember seeing this trailer, if it was this one, and going, I don't see how they could possibly screw that up.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. And
I've never eaten my hat harder than I did with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we'll see if this trailer is good then.
When was the last time you saw this?
This movie?
Yeah. Not the trailer, but this movie.
This movie, I saw it once.
Oh, that's true.
4 months ago.
Yeah, that's right. You watched it, and that was the first you even knew that Gambit was in it. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because I didn't realize he was in it.
He watched it before we went to see Deadpool and Wolverine. I always want to put the in there, and I wasn't even thinking he's got to see this before that because Gambit's going to be in it because I didn't know Gambit was going to be in that.
Right.
And so in 1 week, Jason got to see 2 big screen depictions of his favorite X-Man, not knowing he was going to be in either of them.
In a Wolverine movie.
And in a Wolverine movie.
Yep.
That's true.
True.
All right, here we go.
Oh boy.
All the horrible things.
He looks like he's in confession.
A father. A war.
Yeah, so we knew going in there was going to be some comic
Knowing that the woman you
origin
loved
in this because you get the young Wolverine at the
hunted
story.
down.
I can't remember if the bone claws are in the trailer or not.
Make all this go away.
Putting together a special.
Sabretooth thinks he's a Watchman. He's making the smiley face.
Yeah.
He's in Vietnam.
Join me.
Did you just call me
You'll
Blob?
have your revenge.
I want new ones.
And what do you want him to say?
Wolverine.
See, so far
my
nothing
gosh,
about
he's-
this looks crazy off yet.
Become the animal.
That was kind of a neat little transition.
That was such a cool 20th Century
Embrace
Fox
the
logo.
other
Oh
side.
my gosh.
I think he heard you.
That's kind of the big iconic image from that movie.
Yep.
And I'll give him that. That looked really cool. The context of it ruined it.
We'll stop
but-
it.
Yes.
You just spent $500 million making him indestructible.
Cool guys don't look at explosions.
Who you are, Gambit.
They're gonna Gambit.
Gambit.
Are we gonna get to see him? Oh, there's the bone claws.
Yeah.
And the running.
Yep, we got
There's
running.
there
Good.
is no false advertising here, man.
Good.
Except it does.
Well, there is.
It
but-
does make it look like a much better movie. I'm still having that with it. I will kind of stand by myself from back then. I get why I thought this was going to be all
I'm gonna
right.
cut your head off. See if that works.
I've always liked that line.
Okay, that's the best one so far.
Right?
No, that is the best trailer. That's over X2.
So
And just for trailers.
So am
I'm
I vindicated?
No.
No, but I'm saying in having said back then that's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm seeing why I thought that.
Yeah. No, yeah, it is definitely like that makes me want to see a movie.
Yeah.
That should have been that.
It feels like serious, but not taking itself too seriously in the same way the X2 trailer did, and in a way that X3 trailer failed at. Of course, retroactively knowing what's in it, you can look back at it and go, "There's glimpses of stupid," but only because you know what's in it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and some of it is just tone and attitude. Like, I like the operatic score that they put behind that. I just don't think... I think they've done a good job to mask the stupid prequelitis stuff. Like, everything looks more or less like what a Weapon X movie ought to look like.
Yeah.
I still think.
Yeah.
There's no sense of, like, his memories won't grow back. Sure, he's already named himself Wolverine, before the procedure, but he came into the X-Men movies with those dog tags. He could have already called himself that.
Right.
yeah, everything about that feels like the movie it ought to have been. I feel very vindicated. I don't think I'm gonna put it quite over the X2 trailer.
I think that's fine, but I think.
But it is second right now.
The X2 trailer is probably better. I think it wins some points for that actually being a good movie, but that is probably the best trailer I've seen for a horrible movie. Like, they did a really, really good job making that look good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how they did that.
And it sucks because they sort of deceived us.
Yeah, but they were.
I mean,
really
I
good
say
at
that
it.
a lot of us went and saw it opening weekend and kind of like Superman Returns, shockingly liked it.
Yeah.
And then it just got worse with repeated viewings. Something else that is not in that trailer is anything with Deadpool.
Right.
And that helps.
That also, yes.
And I think we might have gotten glimpses of him in subsequent trailers.
I see.
Let's see what the commenters are saying.
We have John here. Hello, John.
Dagon Spear, I know Xavier's back by the end credits in X3. I still hated that. And, like, okay, so he's in the body of somebody else. Like, yes, I'm aware of that, but it didn't make any better for me. Discussing topics, I remember the helicopter scene was big in the marketing. Yes, they put that in the motorcycle and walking away from the explosion.
Which is also a thing in the X2 trailer. Him walking away from an explosion/fire.
Yeah, they did that too. Okay, great. I'm going to cut your GD head off, see if that works. I remember my friends and I quoting that line all the time. It's a cool, badass action movie line.
Yeah.
And I cannot...
And his line delivery is really good.
Yeah, and I can't give the movie a lot of that.
Yeah.
That was pretty great. Dan's Den, the Wolverine Origins trailer made me think it was going to be a great film. Then I saw it, and well, see, I expected to look at this and go, what was I thinking? Like how naive I was. The trailer was not that great. And no, I was right about it. I'm doubling down. I looked at that, I said, I don't know how they could screw that up.
Yeah.
And so impressive marketing, but not fair.
Yeah.
Because they did not show you what the movie was actually going to be like. Which sucks. I mean, it's... And I hate to say this, because I don't actually want this. We had this with Suicide Squad, but it makes you want whoever made that trailer to cut the movie.
Yeah, wouldn't that have been nice?
Dagon Spear, I think there's like a trilogy worth of plot points in this movie alone. Yeah, and it's just, again, super prequelitis heavy, and I'm not buying a lot of the characterization and stuff.
Yeah.
So yes, there's too much happening in it. Because they wanted to, and it's so weird how far we've come from this with Logan having the reputation it does. Like, Fox was gun-shy about a solo Wolverine movie. It had to have X-Men in the title, and if it had X-Men in the title, it had to have an X-Team. And so then Wolverine's going to be somewhat overshadowed in his own movie, and you're going to have all these extra characters and sort of subplots. Because there's not a ton of that, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, I say overshadowed. There's too much stuff in that movie, and too much pointless stuff in that movie.
Yes.
Wolverine is at least still at the fore of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give them that. But it's not the... it's not the feral depiction that they wanted, because, or that Jackman wanted. Because getting him into Weapon X is so obnoxiously contrived. Anyway, I don't want to think about that anymore. I'm having PTSD now. Let's take a look at...
Let's watch that movie again.
The next mainline X-Men movie, which is X-Men First Class, which really steered the ship in a much smarter direction. And I remember the advertising for this movie being really neat, because being really innovative. because it was such a sleeper drop. Like, I don't know if I'm right about this, but I remember the advertising coming a little later than you usually have it. I don't remember there being a ton of fanfare about this, a lot of talk about it until we got the trailer. And then it's so tonally separate from that original trilogy and that original franchise, and so stylish. And it had the weird soft reboot thing where you can tell it's talking to that original franchise when you thought maybe it would be a straight up reboot. But it looked like it could bring in interest from people that didn't care about those other movies, and it just inspired is the word I was looking for. It just felt like a really inspired way to promote something that the studio is not sure anybody cares about anymore.
Yeah. And a great movie.
And one thing it did that the other trailers that we've seen so far, for the most part, have not done, if memory serves, is it used the score that's in the movie.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And that sold it really hard. Because I think they just knew they had something special with that sound.
Yeah. Now,
and they sold it really hard on Magneto, which was smart because Fassbender was everybody's favorite thing with that.
And I also will say, oh well, that's good, because yeah, that is the best part of that movie. This is going to be the first X-Men trailer that came out after I was born.
That's true, and early enough that you wouldn't remember it in the theater, probably. But
well, this is what, 2011.
Yeah, so you would have been 1. Was it? Oh, I guess that's true. I kept thinking Origins was 11, but I guess that was
Origins
09.
is 09. Yep,
that's right. But yeah, real quick, I was just gonna say the Fassbender thing is interesting because this project started as another Origins movie. I don't know if you know that.
Did it really?
But so X-Men Origins is now a really bizarre title because it's the only one of its line. X-Men Origins : sounds like a whole line of movies because it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And the next one was supposed to be Magneto.
Okay.
And you get Magneto's origin story in this movie.
Right. Okay. So, and this is probably Fox doing its Fox thing again, where it's like, well, it needs to be an X-Men movie. Probably. I feel like. You know, because we were talking about how that's what they kind of did with Wolverine.
Well, no, I think with this, they just maybe took some ideas that they would have had with a solo Magneto movie, and they went, we can't make a solo Magneto movie because people didn't like that Wolverine thing, and we need to we need to change the direction the ship is going.
Yeah. Well, a Wolverine movie is a good idea.
Yeah,
well, it just wasn't a good movie.
A Magneto movie is too, but at that point, I think they felt like they'd kind of take the franchise and people didn't care anymore.
Sure.
And so you weren't going to make more... Because I think if Origins had been more well-liked... I'm not going to talk about box office because I think it did okay. But if Origins had a better reputation, they might have been less gun-shy about doing more Origins movies that weren't X-Men movies. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, let's look at First Class.
First Class.
And I think this will open with the coin. But I may not be right about that.
Oh.
Okay, this is... Yeah, this is not the trailer I remember.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, okay. So this is more of a teaser, I think. Wow, this is really funny. Oh, and they're using footage from the other movies.
Yeah, what?
Oh.
It shall be the policy of this nation
to
regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against
so they're selling on the Cuban Missile Crisis. I want to look at the second trailer with this too. Can we do that?
By the Soviet Union on the United States.
Yeah, because we're not using the music from this movie here.
The cost of freedom is always high. No one can force
I don't think I've ever seen this trailer.
What course it will take. One path we shall never choose, and that is the path of surrender.
ready for this? Let's find out.
This is way more like the other trailers than I thought.
Yeah.
Listen to me very carefully, my friend. Killing will not bring you peace. Peace was never an option.
That was the big exchange this was sold on.
Was that the logo for the movie?
Yeah.
You can barely even read that.
It's a really cool logo if you get it larger and you look really close at it.
Yeah, that was so small in there, though.
Yeah, I want to look at the other, the second trailer, I guess, because that must be the one that I saw more. I praised it really hard for separating itself in the advertising, and it doesn't really.
Yeah, that one doesn't.
Although the speech, the presidential speech holding it all together is good.
That's good, yeah.
I like how it puts it in the time and place. Not just to say it's a period piece, but that does separate it tonally.
Oh, yeah.
But it is saying really hard this is a straight-up prequel, not the soft reboot that it would kind of feel like.
Yeah.
I want to look at this other trailer.
Sure.
Because that is not what I remember. Like, the whole of the advertising being. Remember I said it was kind of... It felt at the time like this really shocking sleeper drop thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what that was. That felt like X2 all over again.
Yeah.
Interesting. See, I'm not going to do this with all of these, but...
The following preview! Oh.
Is this the exact same one?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is. Okay, well, because that said... Okay, because this says trailer 2. Give me a second, everybody.
That one's also longer.
Yeah.
The one that we watched.
So that's odd. Maybe I'm just... My memory is just completely off on this. Yeah, trailer 1 and 2 look exactly the same at the start.
Yeah, but also trailer 2 is...
Okay, great says they all start the same. Boy, I don't remember that. Very strange. Okay, let me take a look at the second one again and just see where it goes after all that, Jason.
Yeah.
You want society to accept you, but you can't even accept yourself.
Oh, yeah, this is... Oh, but...
Should we have to hide?
Yes, they're just showing you more story stuff.
Exist. They'll fear us, and that fear will turn to hatred. Not if we stop a war.
Kevin Bacon!
I forgot Kevin Bacon was...
Oh, he's wonderful.
He's great.
We already are.
I love Stryker. He might technically be the best X-Men villain.
It shall be the policy of this nation
Okay.
to regard any nuclear missile...
So I'm remembering this entirely wrong.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Because I remember the Magneto theme being in a trailer and just blowing my mind.
Yeah.
And I guess that never happened.
Maybe you thought that was the Magneto theme.
Maybe I did. I don't know. Wow.
That blew your mind.
Well, I remembered Origins correctly, but not this. Where do I put this in the ranking then?
Oh, yeah.
Because, again, I like the presidential speech, and I like how much it's giving us thematically, I guess, and the breakdown of the friendship
above
with
X-Men
Xavier
1.
Yeah, I think so. Do I put it over Origins is the
No.
question. I don't think I can.
No.
Just because that did such a good job of making me think that was going to be a good movie.
Yeah, and this one is just da-na-na-na-na-na-na. So. And it had a cooler 20th Century Fox logo. This one just has the normal one.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just going... It's, how do I want to put this? Like, just resting on the merits of the movie, which I guess is good. But,
Yeah.
I mean, there's not anything besides the speech that that's doing that's in, like, especially impressive editing-wise or anything. It's just showing you some of the cool stuff in that movie. And I guess tonally it's maybe a little bit closer to what that movie is than the first, 2000 trailer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But that's not hard.
Nope. This is making me want to just binge the X-Men movies, though.
Cinematographic, Eric's response has a different line reading. Yeah, that's always interesting when you can tell that the cut's not exactly finished yet.
Yeah.
So right now they're looking at one... I think one of two things happens. Either it's... they have a cut where they're going with one take, and that's in the trailer, and then when they put the movie out, they've already changed it.
Mm-hmm.
Or, for whatever reason, they intentionally show you a different line delivery.
Yeah.
In the trailer, and I do think that happens.
It does happen, yeah.
I guess the question is, why do we do that? Maybe it's just...
better timing.
Yeah, maybe so. I was going to say just to throw you off so that you don't...
You guess, and they knew every time.
Maybe they're not being this nice to us. I was going to say maybe it's so that when you go see the movie, you're not constantly flashing back to a trailer.
Yeah, because that does happen with line readings. But what can happen is you have seen a trailer so many times that you like that line reading. And so when it happens differently in the movie, it's like, oh, well, that's not... I was wanting this line reading.
Yeah. There's a big one like that in Deadpool 2 that hurts my feelings.
Yeah.
And then when if memory serves, when they do the super duper cut, they use a lot of alternative jokes and line readings in that second cut, which is neat that it's not just added footage. There are like whole line readings that are different in that cut. It's cool. I've always said that the perfect cut of that movie does not exist. We have 3 different cuts, and I still need like a mix of at least the first 2 of them. And there's a line that I was that was in the trailer that's great. That's not in the first cut. That I think that whole bit is just missing in the Super Duper cut. It's not even another line. I might be wrong about that, but. Cinematographic, apparently there are trailers that missed the audience. What does that mean? Oh, misled the audience. Yeah. I see. Well, yeah. I mean, that happened with Origins.
Yep.
Or does he mean just in even what happens in the movie?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot of, like, 3D chess that gets played with marketing campaigns. Okay. How much time do we have left here, Jason? We're not even at an hour and a half yet. We're doing pretty well.
Nice.
So we're going to go to Days of Future Past next. We have 3 more mainline movies before we get to New Mutants.
And this trailer is supposed to be, like, really good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought.
I'll be surprised if this one doesn't jump all the way to the top of my list. And I think this one is probably going to be the most... We'll see. Maybe I'll eat my hat with this because it's been 10 years. But
I'm eating your hat.
This should go to the top of the list of most tonally authentic to the actual material. That's the best representation of what you're really in for.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes. I like this movie. One of the best time travel movies.
I agree. I still don't like it as much as X2.
What's the last thing you remember?
But I was deeply impacted in the theater.
I had a glimpse into the past.
This was all a really big deal. Seeing all these faces again.
Me what I once did for you.
look how much this is harkening back to X2.
As
Yeah.
well. Side by side to end this war. Before it ever begins.
I'm gonna start tearing up, Jason. And that was, of course, a huge deal.
So, I wake up in my younger body, and then what?
Find me.
For a long time, we thought First Class was going to be directed by Singer, and then it wasn't.
It's going to take the two of us.
And
Where do I find
Austin is right. It's too bad Vaughn didn't get to do this,
A
but
darker path.
at the time, it was a big deal for me.
I was a very different man. Lead me. Guide me. Be patient with me.
Patience isn't my strongest suit.
Yeah. It's crazy how much they're showing you from the future because we don't live there very long.
Yeah.
And we don't live there nearly long enough, by the way. That's one of my big complaints about the movie. That was a bit from the Rogue cut.
Oh, really?
Yep. Well, Rogue was there.
You're suffering.
Right.
I don't want your future.
I still haven't seen that.
Oh, we should sit down and watch that together.
Please.
It's not the superior cut, but I'm glad we get.
We'll need you to hope again.
And that cut is to the logo is just wonderful. Yup. How effective is that?
Oh man. Yeah.
Just everything about the piano music.
Because that made me most want to watch that movie. That's the trailer so far that made me most want to watch that movie. So.
Yeah. Well, and it
It's
hits
right
me
at the top.
emotionally. It reminds me of all the emotional beats that resonated with me with that movie. And I'm getting choked up just thinking about it. Seriously, I am. It was such a big deal, of course, getting McAvoy and Stewart on screen together like that.
Yeah.
And you get to the end of that trailer and you're really not expecting that.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that, the two casts are not going to all be on screen together at the same time. You probably think that's where that's going.
Yeah.
But interestingly, it's not disappointing in the movie. In the context of the thing, it's actually still really satisfying. Mm-hmm. The way they kind of mind melt.
Oh, yeah.
That line reading when he's freaking out to the point where spittle's coming out. And he says, "I don't want your future."
Yeah.
Just gets me every time.
Oh, McAvoy's awesome.
But curiously, that also isn't really using the music from the movie. I don't think that's Ottman stuff. That piano music. It might be, or it might be Ottman, but he made it specifically for that trailer. I'm not sure. But I think that's really effective, and I think that's another good example, like the Origins trailer, I'm surprised to say. It's interesting getting to talk about good trailers for bad movies, right? I'm sitting here praising Origins harder than other things. That movie's, not very good, but that trailer did a really great job of being serious but not self-serious. And I think this trailer also does that. Now, if you're not already invested in this franchise, you might look at that and go, that looks like it is taking itself way too seriously. But if you're me, I'm with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how that doesn't go to the top.
Yeah, that goes to the top.
Yup.
You want to hit some super chats?
Yes.
All right, we got the Captain Coon again.
Thanks, man.
5 more Canadian dollars. That First Class trailer music could actually be the Magneto theme, as it could have been temporary music during editing before it was properly scored. I mean, that's possible.
Yeah, it may have been.
I'm not sure. And then
I'm glad that's not what it ultimately was.
Oh, yeah, no. And then 5 American dollars from Joe Gira. The cut to Logan screaming was unintentionally funny to me and should have been an audio fade.
Say that one more time.
The cut to Logan screaming was unironically funny to me and should have been an audio fade.
Yeah, probably so. Was that the cut you thought was weird?
Yeah, I was like, what?
That was a little jarring. That's the one complaint I'd have about that trailer.
Yeah. Okay, great says Rogue has more screen time in the trailer than the actual movie.
That's true. Because at that point, they think there's a whole subplot with her.
Yep.
Or at least a subplot about they're trying to rescue her. The Rogue cut doesn't actually have a whole lot of Rogue in it, but there's a whole subplot where they have to go rescue her where we keep intercutting from the past to the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of the reason there's so much future in that trailer is because they think more of the movie's going to take place there.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that's intentionally misleading the audience. I think at that point in the production, they think it's at least more equal screen time, where we do have two major subplots happening in the apocalyptic future and in the 70s. And then once you get to the movie, it's a little bit more of a bookend.
Mm-hmm.
And it still works. But I wish somehow we could have spent more time in the future, even though I don't think the subplot they used was really necessarily the thing to get us there. It's been a while since I've seen that, but I remember thinking, no, the instincts were right. Singer was right to cut that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that.
Jajira, thanks for the support there, man. Discussing topics, it's the best superhero movie in a year of amazing ones, and I would have to say it's like equal with Guardians. I'm not sure if I could put one above the other.
I mean, the best 2014 movie, superhero movie, though, is definitely Amazing Spider-Man 2.
According to audience members that want to troll us to get it high on a list of the top 100.
Actually, no. The best 2014 superhero movie is Thor: The Dark World. Definitely.
Dagon Spear, I think the time travel isn't used enough for me. Well, it's certainly not very well established.
Yeah.
Because they leave a lot of necessary exposition on the floor, and then even with that, it's pretty contrived how it works, and that they would even know it would work. And I've talked about this a million times, but Wolverine's whole business about he's got healing factors, so something his brain can take it. No.
That's just more stupid crap from Origins, basically. Like,
and like, even if it's true, how would he know that?
Right. Oh, okay. Thor: The Dark World is 2013. I thought it was 2014. Dang it.
No, Dark World is. Did you mention Dark World?
I did mention Dark World.
One reply says it's a mix of Adagio and D minor. Oh, were you saying the First Class trailer is? Okay, or the Days of Future Past trailer. That makes sense. That's just a piece of classical music I don't know well enough, so I wasn't sure if it was an Ottman thing or not.
Yeah.
So now I feel like uncultured swine, but I do this for a living. What do you want from me?
Is Ant-Man 2014? No, that's 2015.
I thought Ant-Man was...
I don't know what...
Yeah, sorry, it all runs together for me at some point. It's gotta be before Age of Ultron. No, it's gotta be before Civil War. Yes, Winter Soldier is 14.
Okay.
And Winter Soldier, I would have to begrudgingly put above both of these. But you're right. I wasn't thinking about all the
2014. It's 2014. So
I wasn't thinking about all the other movies that year. But yes, Winter Soldier's always 14. Yes, that was. It's probably still the biggest banner year for good superhero movies.
Yeah, and also RoboCop 2014 was 2014.
No, there's some crappy ones because the genre is oversaturated.
Yes, even then.
Anyway, I'm distracted by how much I'm feeling things just watching a 2-minute trailer for Days of Future Past, which is why it automatically must jump to the top of my list.
Sad.
I know. Oh, it's wonderful. It's really cool that Patrick Stewart got to have 2 really great performances as that character again after you thought you'd never see him again.
Yep.
Multiverse of Madness notwithstanding. Okay.
All right, now we have a better movie.
So, now we get into pissing me off.
No, did you... Were you expecting the movie to be good after this trailer?
Yes, I was.
Oh no.
And I don't think this is a great trailer or anything. I just trusted Singer.
Okay.
And I was, to be fair, a little concerned about how fast they put this out. Because I get that, yes, and I get that a lot of superhero movies we do just get 2 years in between. But you think about how hard Days of Future Past was to make.
Yeah.
Singer talks a lot about like scheduling nightmares and stuff, and I'm like, why on earth would you want to rush another one out 2 years after that?
Yeah.
Like, you should after a big event movie like Days of Future Past, that's like making an Avengers movie. You want to take a break, right? And I don't want to get into all the personal and cancellation stuff with Bryan Singer, but not to put too fine a point on it, the man had clearly lost his mind by Apocalypse. And if you listen to the commentaries between Days of Future Past and Apocalypse, it sounds like a fuse has blown somewhere, because he's just weird in the Apocalypse trailer. He says some crazy crap in that.
In the commentary. Okay, yeah.
Sorry, did I say trailer? Yeah. In the commentary. We know about some things that are wrong with him, but something's really wrong with him.
Okay.
And it starts to make sense how much this movie sucks when you realize just how much of a breakdown he's had. And I hate it with like a burning passion. And
I only saw this once in the theater, and then I never saw it again, so I don't remember anything about this movie.
Like, I didn't like it in the theater, and I wasn't mad at it. I was just really disappointed. Mm-hmm. And then I lived with it, and I did a rewind on it, and it just pissed me off. And I can't think about this without getting a little bit livid. At this point, I think I do hate it more than X3 and maybe even Origins.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
But anyway, let's look at the trailer, folks. Let's look at what everybody called Ivan Ooze Apocalypse at the time. Wow. I don't know if you know about that.
Nope.
But
I don't remember
he was purple,
about this.
and so everybody called him Ivan Ooze. All right, here we go. Sorry, I want to look at the time again and just see where we're at. Yeah, Jason, we're going to have no problem getting the rest of these done.
Nice.
And then, again, we'll do a follow-up. So I said the next person gets to pick the next one after X-Men. We should probably do the Deadpool and the Wolverine ones. So you guys still have a little bit of time if you'd like to try to win Super Chat tonight. And again, I'll mention this just one more time for folks that came in later and maybe haven't heard about this. But we're doing a top Super Chatter goal tonight. Top Super Chatter gets to pick, after we finish the short little X-Men series here, the next franchise for Jason and I to look at trailers for a stream. And it doesn't have to be superhero, but it has to have enough entries, so more than 3 movies. What do you say?
Yeah.
And it has to be something that I know something about.
Okay. Yep.
And so if you win, pitch me something, and I have the right to ask you to pick something else. Here we go! X-Men Apocalypse. I will try not to scream. I'll promise not to scream, but I can't promise a lot more than that. Here we go.
Are you gonna scream like Wolverine with that weird cut?
Doesn't it ever wake you up in the middle of the night? The feeling that someday they'll come for you and your children.
Oh my gosh, the Fates of Black, stop!
For the poor soul that comes to my school looking for trouble.
Does it ever occur to you, Charles, how much we should have aged by now?
Some believe that the first mutant was born thousands of years ago. He was some kind of god.
Suicide Squad.
He's going to rise.
You are all my children, and you're lost because you follow blind leaders.
He's got a straight up Cerebro now.
False gods. I'm here now.
He always had 4 followers.
Like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Together.
Yep. And he dressed Psylocke like that because she just wanted to look like that.
We'll take everything from them.
Psylocke just has her regular costume because the actress insisted on the regular Psylocke costume.
Oh. People killed.
She's apparently a giant X-Men fan, and was like, I get the sense she didn't even like having to be a horseman. She was just like, look, if I'm going to be Psylocke, I want to look like Psylocke.
You're going to join them, aren't you?
You wanted me to get out of the house more, right?
It's all of us.
You're going to do the exact same thing you did last movie, right? Only not as cool.
Let's go to war.
Look, another war movie.
Everything
think you know.
But not as cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. She just has the exact same.
You're not students anymore. You're X-Men.
Oh, shut up. This is where everybody was done with Mystique, dude.
Yeah.
She just got sanctimonious and awful. Dun, 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 dun. There's that poster everybody got pissed off about.
Done.
Jason, I don't know if you know about this, but there was a big, I think, subway poster, or well, I think it was actually in lots of places, like a billboard poster. That was that shot at the end of that with Apocalypse choking out Mystique.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it became massively controversial, and the internet tried to cancel it because it was, because it was for violence against women.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that happened.
Okay. I think we should be happy that they're doing that to Mystique.
And if memory serves, Fox handled it right, and they didn't apologize or anything. I think they just let people be mad. I think. Which is a positive thing I can say about this. But anyway, well, like, what do you think of how they advertised that?
I don't know. I didn't really get much out of that. It's just kind of a movie. I don't know if I would have gone to that.
Do you remember anything about that movie?
No. Only that it introduced some X-Men characters and did nothing with them, and they're just like, they like introduced some X-Men characters that weren't ever in X-Men movies, and then
and some that really were, boring. And it made no sense that they were there then.
Yeah,
because. And I don't want to get too in the weeds with this, but that's not how soft reboots work. That's not how time travel soft reboots work. You can't say just because we changed the future, characters were born at different times.
Yeah.
The Abrams Star Trek franchise has exactly the same problem. Mm-hmm. But this went, well, we've rebooted, sort of. So now we can have Angel here and Nightcrawler here. And it's 1983 or 2. It doesn't make any friggin' sense. Professor Zoomcap's hatred toward this film is hilarious. I maybe lay it on a little thick, but I mean, yeah, it makes me mad. And a lot of it is because the potential for the direction that you could take, changing the timeline, you know, being able to do whatever you want to after that, within reason, after Days of Future Past was so potentially, like I said, there's so much potential. It was so potentially intriguing. And then what do? We do nothing with Mystique getting her hands on Logan at the end of that movie, and then we shoehorn in a really contrived, random Weapon X sequence. Do you know about this?
No.
Just so that finally we can do Weapon X right. Except there's no good reason to do it then. It's really, really tacked on. And that timeline should have had Weapon X happen a completely different way. I don't want to see it authentic at this point.
Yeah.
Because Mystique got him at the end of that movie, and that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And then what we do instead is we make her, obnoxious, sanctimonious leader of the X-Men with an actress who clearly doesn't want to be there anymore and won't commit to the makeup, and which gets lessened and lessened every movie. Anyway, there are lots of reasons to hate that movie, and it's also just boring. And the Horsemen, like Apocalypse and the Horsemen, spend most of their time posing for posters. Because you know that's what they do. They did, like, there are all these shots of Apocalypse just standing like all stalwart with his horsemen in just various poses, just standing there.
Okay. Yeah. And also like, Age of Apocalypse is cool. Like, you want to do that right. I feel like that is the storyline that you want to get right for an X-Men movie.
Well, and it's more disappointing because it came after such a wonderful movie, and part of what made that movie so wonderful was, again, notions of the future. I mean, that's thematically what that movie's about.
Yep.
And like think about it like this. We've avoided an apocalypse with that movie to then make a movie about apocalypse, and in the real world, we just repeat history, and we can't avoid the X-Men apocalypse that we got out of last time. We just have another one. If that makes sense. Do you see what I'm saying? Like with X3 and Origins, you have an X-Men apocalypse.
Yeah.
And then First Class comes in. I sound like such a raging fanboy right now. First Class comes in and reverses it. And we go, oh, we've got a cool story. We've got cool actors playing these characters again. And then Days of Future Past, even though there should have been a movie in between. Austin's right about that. Yeah. We get that neat reunion movie, the big event, and now we can move forward and really go full tilt with more comic booky, maybe kind of like 90s X-Men stuff. And then with Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix, it's just X3 and Origins again. It's so sad.
Yeah.
They created an apocalypse with Apocalypse after they avoided an apocalypse. Anyway, sorry, I'm just soapboxing about this again. That trailer is kind of nothing to me.
Yeah, no, it's kind of nothing.
Like you said, it's weird. Like Days of Future, like First Class and Days of Future Past felt so inspired in resurrecting this franchise, and this feels obligatory. Oh,
Yeah.
Yep, we're making these again.
I think it's the bottom, honestly. I think it's even below X3.
Wow. Maybe it is.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, I just watched this like 5 minutes ago. I cannot tell you one shot that was in that movie.
I'm going to put it...
That was in that trailer.
I will put it above X3 because I feel like I can take the material more seriously.
Okay. I don't think I can, but... Well, okay, maybe. But it also was not memorable and did not sell me on that movie at all, so...
It's maybe a little bit less cheeseball. They're also 10 years apart, to be fair.
Yeah.
Or 10 years... They're a lot of years apart.
11. No, 10. No, actually, yes, 10.
Is it straight up 10 years?
Straight up 10.
But this does have that a little bit of that self-seriousness. Certainly. And something felt off with it. Like with X-Men 3, I couldn't tell when I saw that in the theater anyway that something was off. This feels like something's off. And I can already tell how much I'm going to hate Mystique. Worse than Dark Phoenix. She's way worse there. Dan's Den also just said they can have Wolverine make an appearance, which sucks because they finally won us all over, or at least most of us, with Days of Future Past, with, okay, Wolverine really should be the eyes in with this movie, and he's not the main character, he's really the catalyst to make it happen. And that was handled so thoughtfully.
Yeah.
And then he just gets shoehorned in for a cameo with this.
Yep.
It's so sad. One reply, I can't believe they didn't take the opportunity to give Magneto his iconic long white hair. I never thought about that. He should have had that at least by Dark Phoenix, because that's the 90s one. And they gave Storm the mohawk.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So why not? One thing I did really love in Apocalypse was just the Storm casting.
Yeah.
And I'll always stand by that. I think she's really good. She doesn't get to do anything. But yeah. I swear if she had, we would have had a rockin' Storm.
Yeah.
I really liked her. And Cyclops seemed fine. But she seemed like really good casting. Okay, anyway. Let's move on from the worst movie ever made to...
and probably even worse movie?
To the most pointless and redundant and short and compromised and... I can't even be as angry with this movie. This movie's stupid. But I can't even be as angry with this movie because you should expect incompetence from an incompetent director. And
Is this still Singer?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
So Singer has already been completely canceled by this point.
Okay.
And the
I didn't know when that happened.
director for this movie is Simon Kinberg. So we end up with the exact same thing. I've talked about this before, but Jason hasn't heard some of this. We end up with the exact same thing that we did with Blade Trinity, where you have with Goyer, where you have the writer of one of the writers of all this stuff, who they finally let direct one. And, yeah, and Goyer couldn't direct himself out of a paper bag, and neither can Kinberg. The difference is Goyer is a hit and miss writer. Kinberg can't write. I mean, he's just not very good. There are movies that Kinberg's name is on that are okay, but I think, don't quote me on this, I think they're all co-written. Maybe this isn't fair. I get the sense the guy is not very talented. But he's certainly a better writer than he is a director. And every time I see his name on stuff, I have this Pavlovian response of, oh no, it's that guy again. Maybe I'm not being fair. Maybe I should go look at his filmography again and see if there are solo credits of movies I love. It's possible, but I doubt he's got as many good credits as Goyer. And again, hit and miss. Goyer has some bad movies. Goyer is also fascinating because he was the mastermind behind the show Krypton, which means it was, whether the studio made him do it or otherwise, he is the person that 15 minutes into that show already has Superman's cape there because of time travel shenanigans. But anyway, I digress. So let's take a look at Dark Phoenix. Omari Daniels, Kinberg is a better producer for X-Men. That's true. The director or writer. Dark Phoenix saga is too big of a task for a first-time director. Yeah, and at the very least, you should have avoided a lot more of what X3 did. Like, that's him coming in and going, well, you really messed up with X3. Let's do it right this time. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of the same thing. They do the multiple personality thing again, basically.
Yeah. Dark Phoenix is... I only saw it once, but it was...
Dark Phoenix?
This movie.
Wait, who? Someone named Dark Phoenix says this?
Huh? No, I'm saying this right now.
Oh, sorry.
I'm saying that...
I thought you were reading a comment.
No, I'm talking about this.
Sorry.
I'm saying that I only saw Dark Phoenix once, but... It's one of my least favorite superhero movies.
I apologize. I thought you started that sentence with Dark Phoenix says.
No.
That's what you said? I'm going to play the tape back. I thought for sure that's what you said. Dark Phoenix says. And I was just like, wait, Dark Phoenix is in the comments? No. What? Discussing topics, Kinberg was also involved with X3. That's why this is weird.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if it had been great, we would have all said, yay, thank God you tried it again and it succeeded this time. Yeah. And it could have been cool to go back to a story you did before in this new alternate continuity and do it better.
Right.
Like, I don't want to dog on them too much for making Dark Phoenix again. It was weird, and we were all like, why would you do that? But I think there's an alternate reality where that works out. The reason I dog on it is because they made a lot of the same mistakes. And in some ways, it's not even structured as well as X3. Because it's a really compromised movie, and the third act is, like, shockingly short. It's a bizarrely short movie, or at least I remember it feeling that way. The other thing to mention, and then we'll watch the trailer, that's odd about this movie is it took itself so seriously that it tried to be all badass and act like we don't even need the X-Men title anymore to get people to go see this. Dark Phoenix is so big that they didn't put X-Men in the title, in the advertising. And then I think they got cold feet about it, and so once you see the movie, X-Men is in the title. We'll see if X-Men is in the title for this trailer. I don't think it will be.
Yeah, okay.
And they got cute about it, and they went, well, there's an X in the word Phoenix. And so they put a big circle around it.
Okay. Dark Phoenix Men.
Dan Kimberg was like, "Oh, you thought X3 was a bad adaptation of Phoenix? Hold my beer." Professor Zoom, he didn't even try to do Dark Phoenix. Where's the Hellfire Club? Where's the Shi'ar Empire? Yeah. Sure, and I mean, you can do Dark Phoenix without some of that, I guess. I think...
But it would have been a better, way to go if you want to do it differently.
What you don't want to do is open with the X-Men are going to go to space.
Yeah.
And then do none of the space stuff?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember this, that's what that movie did.
Yeah.
They go to space!
Yeah.
And they were still like... these movies are too down to earth and too serious to do space, even though we went to space.
Yeah.
It's sort of like opening the first Venom movie with space and then going, psych, we're not going to do anything with the Clintars or any of that. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at this, shall we? This will probably be our last one. Have you ever seen the rain?
Why did you make me do that?
Look at me.
Why is the cast of TNG in this movie?
I'm not giving up on
Did you
you.
see them from the back? They look like TNG uniforms.
Yeah, they do.
You're my family, James. No matter what.
Look at her makeup.
Stop.
Yeah.
Look.
She looks like a parody of
You're
Mystique.
special, Jean.
Yeah.
And if you stop fighting that force inside you...
The Force.
Force, yeah.
You gotta get that word in there.
Well, they're in space.
They're in space!
Except, they're not doing anything.
Do you know why they're in space?
No.
Because the president called them on his bat phone. I kid you not, they have a red phone. It's my favorite thing about that movie.
That's so
The president has a direct line to the X-Men, it's a red phone. Look at his face! That's unfortunate.
Tell me how we fix this, Charles. Tell me what to do. I don't know what to do.
They don't understand.
This is all unintentionally hilarious, by the way.
And what they feel.
I've seen this movie exactly one time. He's gonna do his slow motion running thing again.
Again?
Yeah, they do it all 3 times.
I'm scared. I lose control.
Austin just came in.
Oh, hi, Austin.
For this.
The girl dies.
She's still Jean. We can still help
Is
her.
that actress just not able to hide a British accent?
You want to believe people are something that they are not.
I don't remember that being a problem before. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Who they are.
Jean Grey sounds suspiciously English.
It's too late.
Jean! There it is. But Storm's African accent is great. Was that what they say?
She's coming.
That's your exciting tease at the end of your trailer? Yikes.
Oh well, but see, it's a train.
Yeah.
That's why it's a big deal.
Oh, okay. That's how nothing that third act is.
Yeah.
That's in the climax.
Yeah.
That feels like it should be midway through the movie.
All right, that's at the top.
Yeah, where does that go in the ranking?
I think it goes above. Right below X3.
So you think it's at the very bottom?
Oh no, it's not at the very bottom.
Because I got X3 at the bottom.
Oh.
You put Apocalypse at the bottom.
Yeah.
So I got to decide where it's gonna go. You know what? I think it's even worse than X3. I am gonna put it right at the bottom.
I mean, it's still entertaining.
Well, yeah, but not in the way it wants to be. Because there was no part of me that thought that movie had any chance.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Kinberg. It was that advertising. And I mean, as I always say, you don't.
Well, the
you don't know.
didn't help either.
You don't know just based on the I mean that acts any of my excitement for future installments, but singer or otherwise. But trailers aren't there to make you know for sure what the experience is going to be like. But it felt like they couldn't find exciting material.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like they were scraping the bottom of the barrel to show you anything.
Yeah, and people are making a good point here, too.
Yeah.
This came out the month after Endgame.
Oh, yeah, I forgot all about that. Yeah, thanks for putting us back in the time and place.
Yeah.
Because I forgot just how recent that was.
Yeah.
That was a mistake. They should have waited on that.
Yeah.
Or they should have put it out earlier in the year if they could have.
Yeah.
But you can kind of tell that the Phoenix is going to be lame, and they're not going to do any of the cool space stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sort of opposite from the X3 trailer, where you didn't know for sure about the multiple personality thing. Here, you can be pretty sure that's what it is.
Yep.
After knowing that, it also has that amusing thing where none of these characters look as old as they should.
Yep. And
So
it's the 90s, right?
I want to just remind everybody, yes, it's 92 because they were trying to bank a little bit on, I think it's 92 on the cartoon nostalgia. Yeah. So keep in mind, just remember what Xavier and Magneto look like in that trailer.
Yeah.
And like you can see their faces right there.
Yeah.
It's been 30 years from First Class.
Yeah.
Xavier's supposed to be like in his mid-50s.
Yeah.
No.
Nope. And they don't do any makeup or anything.
No, they don't do
Like, they
anything.
don't do anything.
Professor Zoom, I did not forget the Wolverine. We're going to do a follow-up with this where we're going to do the other Wolverine movies and the Deadpool movies.
Yep.
And that's why we took our time a little bit tonight.
Yes.
Because I figured even if we tried to rush it, it would be nigh impossible to get all the Deadpools and Wolverines in. So I thought, let's take our 2 hours, like we usually do on a Wednesday, and just really take our time discussing these.
Mm-hmm.
So we're mostly in agreement on the order of these.
Yeah, I think so.
Days of Future Past is the best.
Yep.
Dark Phoenix is the worst.
Yeah.
I think.
I think so.
You still have X3 at the bottom?
No, I definitely have Apocalypse at the bottom.
Austin, that's also funny because the climax isn't that intimate. Discussing topics, it was going to come out in February, but the trailer did better numbers in China, so they moved it to June. It's all about the Chinese numbers, man.
Yep.
I would argue that Dark Phoenix is the X-Men movie that, forgetting New Mutants and stuff, just movie with, and we'll do New Mutants in that in that follow-up stream too, because otherwise we're only gonna really have like 5 movies, right? 6.
We would have 5.
Like 2 Wolverine movies, 3. No, it'd be 6. You'd have because we already did Origins. Right. But you'd have 2 Wolverine movies. You'd have oh no, you're right. 2 Deadpool movies and then Deadpool and Wolverine. You're right. That's 5.
Yeah.
So we'll put New Mutants there also.
Yep.
But I was just gonna say, forgetting New Mutants, Dark Phoenix, if you took a poll, is probably the X-Men movie a lot of people couldn't name.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I bet, and it's the most recent, which makes that hilarious.
Yeah.
But it did, nobody expected it to perform. It did hilariously low numbers.
Did it really?
Yeah. And I don't think it's that Enterprise thing where more people would have seen it if X-Men had been in the title. I think just nobody was going to care, regardless.
Yeah.
And you have Apocalypse to blame for a lot of that. You have putting it out in a huge event year for MCU. You also have that to blame.
Yep.
Now, that hasn't hurt. That didn't hurt, say, Days of Future Past when you put it out the same year as 2 of MCU's biggest bangers, like Guardians and like Winter Soldier. But I think what helps with that, of course, is people did like First Class and and notably, of those 3 movies, Days of Future Past is the one that was sold hardest on and looked more like the event.
Yes.
So Guardians looked fun, but they didn't know if it was necessarily gonna catch fire. It became an event. It didn't start as an event.
Right.
And Winter Soldier was a really solid looking sequel to a decently performing movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Winter Soldier wasn't even heralded so much as an event as later on, I think it did well. But I think as time has gone on, it's just become more and more respected with a lot of people. So I think there's that to keep in mind too, is that is the only year in history where X-Men had the big, like I said, it was the event. Where it, what's the word I'm looking for? Where it was a reunion movie, and it was one of the first of these big kind of crossover movies. Like, it's all X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt like, it's timelines, but it felt like the multiversal crossover thing before you get to Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's true.
And stuff like that. So there was a special novelty to it.
Right.
Crossover in the sense of,
did it well.
Yes, crossover in the sense of characters that you didn't think would be allowed to be on screen together.
Yes, because obviously, like, Avengers, but those characters exist in the same universe, in the same time.
Austin says he remembers Winter Soldier feeling like an event at the time. I didn't have that. Again, I remember people liking it, and some of it was, I think, just my own personal response to it, where it took me a few viewings before I came to the place I am with it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I've sung the praises of that movie for years as MCU's best movie. It's never been topped. But I didn't have that at the time. I had to live with it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was 4.
That's true.
So I don't know.
Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up here in a minute. Jason, do you have anything else you want to add? Just watching all of the X-Men trailers together, like any big takeaways?
Well,
like looking at the history of this franchise just in trailers over 20-something years.
I think X-Men
almost 20 years
is very interesting because it kind of like we've talked about through the stream, it kind of went down and then repeated itself. Like it's kind of the same franchise twice. Like, kind of exactly the same thing twice. Like, you have a solid movie, and then, like, one of the best movies ever, and then just crap. And then you...
Now, I get people that like First Class more. I mean, the only big difference is First Class was not the setup movie X-Men was.
Right.
Like, that's a wonderful movie all on its own.
Yes.
But, box office-wise...
They're both solid movies.
Yeah. Box office-wise, though...
Yes.
History did repeat itself that way.
Yeah.
And then the third movie is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Were you going any further?
Well, I was just gonna say it's interesting how looking through the history kind of in a nutshell like that, like this, with just watching all the trailers back to back.
Yeah.
Was because this was like 20 years of X-Men in 2 hours, and it's interesting seeing really how the timeline was came about and how it is just kind of the same thing twice.
How unique is this as a franchise where it was never, like, nothing else exactly has this in superhero or maybe anything else where it okay, maybe that's not true, because I mean, you have things like Star Wars and Star Trek and stuff that never, like, fully forever reboot, but just keeping it in superhero for a minute, I don't think there's any other franchise that, well, there isn't, that lasts this long and is never full on rebooted, that all is technically in the same universe, even if there's soft reboot stuff that happens, and doesn't end until a studio buyout.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's crazy that up until 6 years ago, we could say X-Men is the one franchise that never ends.
Mm-hmm.
But it cheats in that it keeps reinventing itself, and it screws up its continuity very quickly.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really interesting, to your point, is, and then we'll wrap up, is it does you do have history repeating itself where it's the same franchise twice, but there are really interesting departures the second time around. So, like, let me just break this down for a second, because it is interesting to compare and contrast it, right? So let's go a little bit deeper. You have the first X-Men movie, which is, like we keep saying, very set-up-y, and people felt like they needed, you know, a lot more from it. And then X2 was like what they came to get in the first place. First Class was this breath of fresh air that felt like nothing else we'd ever had before. Yeah. And then Days of Future Past is not necessarily a better movie, but like X2, it gives the fans a lot of what they wanted. It's that fan service thing. But it's also interesting because Singer comes in after Vaughn.
Yeah.
And gives the fans something that they really want, and really elevates interest in the franchise, right? Singer tops himself from X-Men to X2. It's the same guy. And then, this is where it gets very interesting. Because then, Brett Ratner comes in with X-Men 3, and ruins Singer's vision, and sort of tanks the franchise, or at least makes a movie that a lot of people don't like. Doesn't tank it to the point where you can't have more, because then we do Origins. That really tanks it. But then, it's the same guy that screws it up the second time.
Yeah.
That's where you get a departure. Where Singer, although I would say that he seems like a different person.
I was going to say.
From one to the next.
Is it the same guy?
Yeah. And then, what's the metaphor I'm looking for? Then you put the final nail in the coffin with your fourth movie in both situations. And that fourth movie was made in the first place by yet another creator, which is true with Dark Phoenix. But then the weird departure there, and this gets funny, is Origins is a crappy prequel with massive prequelitis problems. Dark Phoenix is the fourth in a quadrilogy. It feels like the third movie in a trilogy, kind of, and it feels like the second movie in an ongoing franchise because we've just sort of soft rebooted with Days of Future Past. So, like, the numbers with that get really weird, and Origins is the beginning, unbeknownst to anybody, of the most uneven and weird and random trilogy, and now kind of quadrilogy of all time with Wolverine. Mm-hmm. So freaking weird.
Yeah.
Beginnings of things, ends of things. So yeah, it's not one-to-one history repeating itself, but there's a lot of fascinating parallels.
Yeah.
And fascinating mirrorings.
Yes. Yeah, no, this was interesting. And also, it was interesting because I've been wanting to go back to the X-Men films, because a lot of them are just... a couple of them are just not memorable.
Yeah.
So I haven't gone back to them in a while, really any of them. And so I wanted to kind of think of this as a way for me to be like, okay, which ones do I really want to go back to? And it was really interesting seeing which ones made you want to actually go to the movie, and which ones were just like, yeah.
Well, I know I got off trailers, and I'm just delving into the parallel history of it now.
Yeah.
But you made me want to go down that rabbit hole real quick.
Yeah.
The other thing that's interesting, and this is more subjective, of course. Everything we've talked about so far is just fact, right? This gets into personal opinion, but in my personal opinion, it's also interesting that you have 8 mainline X-Men movies, and if you count Origins, you get the 4 and the 4. I never really thought about it like that. Mm-hmm. That when to what you said earlier, that we sort of start over, then you get 4 more. In my mind, half of them are good, and 2 of them are in the first franchise, and 2 of them are in the second franchise.
And 2 of and
right?
And also 2 of them are the first 2 movies in the first franchise, and 2 of them are the first 2 movies in the second franchise. Because they both
That's true.
went down.
Yeah. So that's really
why
interesting.
First Class should not be called First Class. It should be called A Miracle.
So, so X-Men should never go past 2 movies. That's what we're saying.
Take notes, MCU.
It did not have the Star Trek thing where it was the even movies and the odd movies.
Right.
To people that think that. It was just the first 2.
Austin.
Well, there's a lot of people that like 1, but
Yeah.
but anyway. So the Super Chat winner.
The Super Chat winner is
the guy that gave us Canadian Super Chats, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is the Captain Coon.
Captain Coon, okay. Well, Captain Coon, thanks a lot, and everybody else, Jajir and everybody else, thanks a lot for your support tonight. But Captain Coon is our winner, and that means that he gets to pick a franchise for us to do this with when we finish X-Men. So next time we do this, probably a month and a half from now, we might do it on another Wednesday. It'll be Wolverine and Deadpool. Those 2 franchises. And he can ask for anything that is more than 3 movies and that I know something about.
Yeah.
It'll help if Jason also knows something about them, because he'll be on it too.
Yes. If it's something that I know about it, then I will also be on it. So.
I'm hoping it can be something for the 2 of us, but
just the 2 of
so
us.
Kuhn, if you're still with us, because we haven't seen him in a little bit,
Yeah.
you can leave your suggestion in the comments here, and otherwise send me or just leave it just leave it in the comments of the video. That'd be the way to do it, either live right now or after the fact.
Yeah.
So, Austin and I will be back with everybody tomorrow night for a request. We're going to do the first part of Peter David's Hulk run. We're going to do the first volume of Visionaries. So that should be really fun. I look forward to that if you're if you're a classic comics person. And Friday night, I've got a writers meeting, so we're going to start late. So we're not going to do a rewind commentary. We are going to do a commentary, and it's going to be on The Lost World Jurassic Park with me and Austin and John and possibly Robert. And so we're going to have a big group for that for whatever reason. Just a bunch of guys wanted to come on for that. And then Monday night we will review Thunderbolts if we're able to see it this weekend. That's the plan right now. Oh, Austin says that's not the. Oh no, that's true. That's not the next request. I announced the next 2, and I forgot. Jajira has a request before that, so we're gonna do that. Apologies, and I forget the name of that right now, but Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. That's right. Okay. Sorry, Jajira, forgot about that. So that's what we're doing tomorrow. Next week, Hulk Visionaries. And in the meantime, I was Captain Logan, and this was Jason, and we'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.